All right, tonight in just 5 days, you, the American people, will make that critical decision. You will rehire the politicians who kept you out of work, kept your kids out of school, opened the borders, emptied the prisons, dismantled the police. It drove inflation through the roof, a 40-year high, or you can send them packing. Your choice. Polls are now showing the possibility of a red wave, but it is not at all certain, so be careful. It's not even close. I'm telling everyone to assume that every single race is that close that you yourself will be the deciding vote. Anything can happen. Turnout will be key. Take nothing for granted. And as of now, nearly every major race is either dead even in the polls or within 1 to 3 points. Now, that includes the live free or die great state of New Hampshire, where Republican Don Bolduc is now up by 1 in 2 brand new polls. Straight ahead, General Bolduc will join us, along with probably one of the most popular governors in the entire country, Chris Sununu. Now, we will also hear from South Carolina Senator on this race and others, Tim Scott, and New Mexico, their gubernatorial candidate, Mark Ronchetti, who is now polling neck and neck with the state's Democratic incumbent. Plus, in just a few moments, we will check in with Kari Lake and Blake Masters together in Arizona. Now, the Senate race in the great state of Arizona is now tied, according to a new Insider Advantage poll. And I got to imagine it's going to mean something that the Libertarian is now bailed out. They were polling around 6%. In Pennsylvania, less than a point separates Dr. Oz and, the trust fund baby brat in a hoodie, Fetterman. In Nevada, it's a 2-point race. In Georgia, it's less than a point. In North Carolina, it's about 5. In Wisconsin, it's anywhere from 3 to 5. Ohio, same thing, between 3 and 5. But let me put it this way. It is likely that less than 100,000 votes from all of these states combined will decide the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. And right now, there is no reason to celebrate. These races could go either way. You might remember 3 states in 2016 combined made the difference, 77,000 votes that put Donald Trump over the top. And in 2020, 3 states, 43,000 votes made the difference for Joe Biden. No one can predict what will happen come Election Day. But I do know the Democrats are running very scared. Now, we know tonight we are witnessing a full-on state of panic on the left. And, of course, there was no panic when your gas prices were spiking or when inflation went through the roof. It was supposedly transitory. They told us it wasn't a big deal. And for months, they didn't even know that there was a baby formula shortage. They frequently accuse us of overreacting to violent crime, CRT, Afghanistan, the border crisis, the fentanyl crisis, and yet they are totally unbothered by any of the very real pain and suffering that the American people are now facing. 70% of Americans fully are living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. Many of those people are not making ends meet, and just for bare necessities, well, they're spending on their credit card. And only now, faced with the very real possibility of losing an election, Democrats are now claiming that the sky is falling, democracy is in peril, America itself is doomed, high in their ivory tower. Liberals seem to believe that a Republican majority in the House or the Senate is the greatest threat known to man. And by the way, the only way to save democracy is to vote for them again and give them more power, give them power in perpetuity. One-party rule forever and ever, amen. Does that sound like democracy to you? Doesn't to me. Right on cue. Yesterday, Biden declaring that the mega MAGA Republicans are a threat to the Republic. And today, his brainless chief of staff, Ron Klain, referred to the speech as Joe's final warning to the country. I hope you were watching.
The president decided a few days ago that it was important to issue one final warning on this issue, to make very clear, to leave no doubt, that we have people out there still peddling the big lie, people now raising the issue of election denial in this election. And, of course, the horrible incident involving Speaker Pelosi and her family, showing the rising threat of political violence. And so I think all those things came together and led the president to make the strong remarks that he made last night.
Yeah, that Stacey Abrams needs to stop that. I agree. Anyway, final warning, the rise of political violence because of Republicans. Now, we have been consistent. We condemn all violence. We condemned it in real time on January 6th. We condemned it all through the summer of 2020, 574 riots, dozens of dead Americans, thousands of cops injured. We have another example, a Republican House candidate in North Carolina. He just had his house shot up. Look at that right there. Bullets right into his home after his Sanders' Democratic opponent featured the House in a campaign ad. And last night, someone tried to accost General Bolduc as he was walking into his own debate. Earlier in the campaign, a man tried, as we showed you, to stab Lee Zeldin. If he didn't act quickly, it was going right for his carotid on his neck. On stage, a man assaulted Rand Paul and broke 6 of his ribs. A deranged Bernie Sanders, Rachel Maddow superfan shot up a baseball field, nearly killed Steve Scalise. And by the way, unlike the Democrats, I don't blame Bernie Sanders. I don't blame the Democratic Party for any of it. But political violence is not this one-sided Republican issue. There are psychos in both parties, and it's shameful that Democrats are smearing conservatives for, a cheap political win because they can't run on any issues that they have been successful at. Instead of condemning all violence, nope, they're just going to blame Republicans. Unfortunately, many on the left have totally lost touch with reality. If you want a case in point, just listen to the official presidential historian for NBC News, Chicken Little himself. Take a look.
A historian 50 years from now, if historians are allowed to write in this country, and if there are still free publishing houses and a free press, which I'm not certain of, but if that is true, a historian will say what was at stake tonight and this week was the fact whether we will be a democracy in the future, whether our children will be arrested and conceivably killed. We're on the edge of a brutal authoritarian system, and it could be a week away.
He's just trembling with fear from his D.C. mansion. He sees January 6th around every turn. He can't possibly fathom why voters are worried about inflation, gas prices, violent crime, open borders, and the like, woke education. Kids aren't learning to read, write, do math, science, history, and of course, computers. And Chicken Little is so painfully detached from reality that it seems to be rotting his brain. He's not alone. So-called journalists across the country now believe that the end is near. These predictions of a Republican win means its life as we know it is over. Take a look.
Democracy is in danger all over the world, here in the United States as well, but it's all over the world, Secretary Clinton.
They're pushing out all of these polls, this sort of muddy up the averages and sort of create this narrative of a red wave. If it doesn't happen, aren't we going to be in more danger of violence because they've created a narrative, and if it doesn't happen, they're going to say the whole election was stolen?
What the president said tonight is that there is a serious chance that if this doesn't go well, we don't have democracy anymore.
For the president and the White House and many Americans across the country, there is still this concern about the threat to democracy on multiple fronts.
I think what the president did last night is motivate a lot of Democratic base voters who I think quite rightly are worried about the existence of our democracy if these Trumpy election liars get in.
All right, try and keep up, try and keep track with this. According to Democrats, if the GOP wins an election, democracy will be over, cities will burn, people will die, and then Republicans will abolish Medicare and Social Security, and they will defund the VA just for good measure. Take a look.
They want to gut Social Security and Medicare and then give some more tax breaks to the wealthy.
Every year, every single year, it should be on the chopping block, along with veterans benefits and everything else in the federal budget. If Congress doesn't vote affirmatively to keep it, it goes away, gone. You've been paying in Social Security your whole life. You earned it. Now these guys want to take it away. Who in the hell do they think they are? Excuse my language.
So if you're worried about the economy, cost of living, getting by right now, think of what it will be like if they go back to higher prescription drug prices, undo what the Democrats did, go after Social Security and Medicare to literally pull it up by the roots. I mean, those are serious threats to anybody.
I'll go back to GDP of gross domestic product of 1.4%, not 8.5, a 40-year high. I'll go back to $2 gallon gasoline. I'll go back to secure borders, and I'll go back to energy independence any day. I'd love to do that. Anyway, what they're doing here, Obama, Biden, Hillary, they're making it all up. It is all desperate fear-mongering. It's lying. It's manipulating the elderly and the sick for votes. That shows how desperate Democrats really are. This big lie that Republicans are going to cut Social Security and Medicare, they roll it out every single election. Republicans are racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, transphobic. Their plan, Obama said, is for dirty air and water. And now they want to take away Grandma and Grandpa's Social Security and throw them over a cliff in a wheelchair. In fact, they've been using this lie now for decades, yet Republicans have never laid a finger on Medicare or Social Security. Not one Republican has said they would, and it's clear Democrats have nothing positive to run on. Their agenda failed miserably. They have no positive story to tell, both at home and abroad, and Americans are now worse off by every single measure, and yet they're demanding that you reward them. And you reward their lies, and you reward their failures, and you reward their hysteria and vitriol, and it's all delusional. But thankfully, in 5 days, you will have the power to send them a message right at the polls. They all need to be fired. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.